and welcome to the daily reading for all signs for today, the 3rd of October, 2024. This is Ariel Gatoga, and I am today reading with this beautiful Feline Marseille Tarot deck. Now, this one doesn't appear to be in print at this moment, so I put a different Feline Tarot deck, a link to a different Feline Tarot deck in the video description of this video on YouTube. Let's see what's in the cards for everybody today. Let's see, we start out with a 6 of Cups, that's nice. Then we've got a Knight of Coins, beautiful, and a King of Cups. Well, this is nice. So it's, these court cards are parts of your personality. They're not other people, the way I read. And the King of Cups is kind of your what you're heading for, what your goal is, what you want to be all about today. And that's just having mastery over your own inner world. So whatever you're doing, just commit to it. So if you're if you do meditation, if you do prayer, if you do psalms, if you do magic, law of attraction, whatever your techniques are, own them. Let them be your main reality today, and let the universe bring the help in the physical world as it will. So if you can focus on the invisible today, let the visible take care of itself. And this 6 of Cups is talking about how many of you have already started that kind of a journey, and that it's really important to reinforce that. So the 6s are the sun, or symbolized by the sun, I should say. And the sun is a symbol for a higher power. And just like the sun is something that we in the physical world, as on the physical earth, depend on. I mean, imagine if the sun wasn't there, all of a sudden we would stop existing. Nothing could be done about it. So we depend on the sun. But that's simply a symbol of a greater dependence that we have on our spiritual source. And when we recognize that, when we really recognize how dependent we are, this idea of independence is silly. We don't want to be independent from our source. We want to be independent people. We don't want to be dependent on other people necessarily. We don't want to be dependent on, things in the world necessarily. But we do want to, sometimes it's okay to be dependent on things in the world, but if you're looking for independence in the world, that's fine. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about allowing yourself to be dependent on that spiritual source, as if you don't have any power in the spiritual sense. Now, people don't like hearing that because they think that means that they don't have any power in the world, and it's the opposite. If you are powerless before your spiritual source, then in the world you have all power. Whereas if you don't look to your being powerless in relationship to your spiritual source, and you try to have your own independence there, then you have no power in the world. So people that seem like they really have it together here, the ones that that really seem to have everything working for them, dollars to donuts, they have some sense of powerlessness on the internal realm. They have a sense of dependence, and that's a healthy sense of dependence. Now, one thing you can do to really understand that is to work with the solar light. And I have a couple of solar light meditations. You can just go to YouTube and search Gatoga solar light, and you can listen to one of those very brief meditations and learn how to do the process yourself. And you'll understand it on a visceral level. I don't have to explain it to you, that it feels good to be dependent on your spiritual source, and it also feels good to have power in the world. Okay, and speaking of power in the world, this is just demonstrating that for you right now. From dependence on the spiritual plane, you have prosperity on the physical plane. Allowing yourself to be helped in the world by that invisible spirit gives you power, gives you this queen power. Queen of coins, this is a lot of practical benefit that comes from this feeling of dependence. A lot of practical financial benefit today. So when you accept that you're dependent on your spiritual source, then your spiritual source gives you everything you need here. Gives you everything you need. Because that's the whole thing, that your spiritual source, God, if you will, doesn't have an ego and wants only for you to be happy, successful, prosperous, and free. And so that's exactly what I'm seeing. The more you lean into that solar light, that lean into that spiritual dependence, that you really start demonstrating some financial prosperity, a lot of it. Look, we have the Queen of Coins, the Three of Coins, the Ten of Coins, and the Knight of Coins. That's a lot of prosperity. That's a lot of financial prosperity. Now, if it's not financial prosperity that you're needing, if it's a different kind of prosperity, it's still prosperity within the physical world. It can be good health, whatever you need. And again, the idea being that the more you lean into yourself as a spiritual master, the more this happens. Now, how do you become a spiritual master? By being dependent on your spiritual source. It's really that simple. If the more you understand that you don't want independence from your spiritual source, that you want to completely surrender to it, that you want to be completely 100% powerless in its presence, then you become a spiritual master. That is spiritual mastery in and of itself. You don't have to worry about all of the other machinations, all of the techniques and all of that. Then you are an adept. And what do they say about spiritual adepts? In the Psalms, spiritual adepts are called the meek, and the meek shall inherit the earth. What does inherit the earth? That means having everything on the earth plane that you want. Isn't that nice? And there's a lot of prosperity here for everybody today that is willing to walk this path, that is willing to tread this spiritual path. Now, you don't have to ascribe to any spiritual system, to any religion. You can even be an atheist in some regard, because even an atheist understands that they're not the center of the universe. They understand that they need to breathe the oxygen that is out there. They understand that they are dependent on the sun. So it doesn't matter what path or belief system or lack thereof that you have, if you can just really understand what your role is in relationship to your spiritual source, everything works for you. Everything works for you. So all that stuff that you've started in that you're wanting to see come to fruition starts to bear fruit. Everything in your life that you touch, it's like, you've heard about somebody that having a green thumb. Every plant that they touch seems to have a green thumb. You have a gold thumb today. Everything turns to gold. You're like Midas, but not like the curse of Midas. Midas had a curse in that everything turned to gold, so he starved to death because he can't eat gold. We're talking about spiritual gold. Everything that you touch turns to prosperity today. And you can turn this into something perpetual. It doesn't have to be just today, but watch it. Watch how that happen. Watch how that happens, and watch how your life starts to have happy outcomes, happy financial outcomes, especially, and you really get what you want. And that happens the more you give up on the invisible plane any need for autonomy, any need to be, do, have all on your own. Instead, you learn how to respond to that spiritual source by saying, well, what would you have me do? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to have? And you start to understand, because some people are afraid of that. They think, well, I don't know about that, because, what happens if the infinite wants me to do something I don't want to do? Well, that's because you don't understand that the infinite wants you to be happy. So everything that could possibly lead you to happiness is there for you. It's already been created. The solving of your problems, and specifically today, the financial prosperity that you really maybe crave or need or desire, the universe wants that and more. and more. That's what this 10 of coins is all about. It's not just enough. That's the thing. The universe doesn't want you to just have enough to get by. We have this idea that, well, it's so selfish for me to want more. And, the universe doesn't want me to have that. The universe just wants me to have enough to survive. That's not true. The universe wants you to be abundant. Look at how look at how nature is. There's not just enough flowers. There's as many flowers as possibly there could be. There's not just enough grains of sand on the beach. There's as many as there could possibly be. It's wasteful. But see, the thing is when nature is wasteful, that waste becomes mulch. It becomes used again. And so you don't have to worry that you want too much. You have to be worried that you don't want enough. That's the message here today, is you could not possibly ever want as much as the universe wants for you. So don't worry about that. All you have to concern yourself with is being willing to let go and let the spiritual source be the spiritual source, and know that if you can let go of any need to be in control on a spiritual sense, that the universe gives you all power in the world, and that includes today especially all financial power. Because you're using it for the right purposes, and that's for your own happiness. Because when you're happy, when you're truly happy, you're happy. You're doing everything that's good for everybody. Being greedy is not being happy. So that's not what the universe wants for you. You're not being greedy. You're being happy. And the more happy you are, the more you get. The more you get, the more happy you are, and it perpetuates itself. And you have to understand that the universe wants you to be happy, prosperous, and free. And that's why you want to let go of your own ideas and let the solar light reign. So if you have time today, start working with that solar light. Do it several times a day. You can learn how to memorize this. You can get it done in 30 seconds to a minute. You can spend longer with it if you want to, but you don't have to. It's just the frequency of it, so that you can keep reconnecting and reconnecting and reconnecting to that spiritual source and let everything start to work out for you. Wonderful, beautiful reading. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and we will see everybody for another daily reading tomorrow. Blessed be.